Alright, hello everybody, welcome to the ADMW, still the group stages. So this is group stage, this is group, I think it's group D, with SilverclawGrizzly versus Juli. So, it looks like Grizzly is up in the top left corner with the Necromancer, and Juli's in the bottom right with the Priestess. So this is a classic Dark versus Holy match. So, this ought to be interesting. I haven't actually seen either of these guys play either of these mages, at least not recently. I may have seen a couple games from Grizzly playing the Necromancer, so now that I think about it, I think he's been practicing. So this should be interesting. The Priestess has a lot of tools to handle what the Necromancer can do with things like Deathlock being countered by Dorcius, and with a lot of light attacks getting the +2 versus non-living. And in retrospective, the Necromancer has a lot of things to counter the Priestess's abilities, like Deathlock countering healing, and Altar of Infernia, and Debilitate also will make sure that nothing can gain melee while those are active. So it's probably going to come down to who can make the other person play their game. One of the inherent advantages in the Priestess specifically of all the holy mages, the Priestess is better built to handle the Necromancer, because the Necromancer thrives on using that Plague Master ability, which gives the Plague Master ability where you do 1 direct damage to anybody with a poison condition marker on it. The Priestess has the ability to remove those conditions. So Drain Soul, while nice, isn't exactly a killer against the Priestess, because the Priestess can just use Restore. So we see Grizzly go ahead and move and cast 2 crystals, and it looks like Juli's going to go ahead and go with the Malachi's Basilica and Disciple of Radiance. It's an interesting opening. So, yeah, that'll be it for the first round. Alright, so for those of you who are watching at home who haven't played on Octagon before, the Malachi's Basilica comes in with a little token. I actually gave it a light +1 token to make it easier to automate and to tell who's actually the one being targeted. So Juli put that onto the Necromancer in the upkeep. And the Necromancer, in this case, is going to open up with quick casting the Idol of Pestilence for this turn. That's another great conjuration that makes it difficult to be a stand-in-your-corner Priestess, actually. I can only assume a Deathlock is also coming along here soon. If I had to take a stab at it, that would be my guess. So Juli goes ahead and moves to the left with his Priestess and drops out leather gloves. And, ooh, Skeleton Archer coming down from the Necromancer. This is a nice play because this helps threaten up to 2 zones out from where he's standing, and kind of gives him a little bit of a buffer zone unless Juli wants to start taking damage from a 4-die source. And for the final quick cast, Juli's going to go ahead and put down the Enchanter's Ring, which gives him a discount whenever he casts enchantments on friendly creatures. And so that'll be it for this round. Alright, so this turn, Juli actually changed the target of Malachi's Basilica up to the Skeleton Archer. So the Skeleton Archer now has light +1 on it, just in case that becomes relevant for later. And as you'll notice, the Idol of Pestilence did a little bit of work. Did work, doing a damage to both of the 2 creatures that the Priestess controls, including herself. The Necromancer opens up with the first quick cast with a Cloak of Shadows. That's probably a good play to make sure the Priestess really has to get in close to do anything to the Necromancer. And that means it's even more threatened by the Skeleton Archer, it being Priestess and or whatever comes to threaten the Necromancer. And the Necromancer uses his full action to move back and enchant the Skeletal Archer. That's interesting. It appears Blur is going down, so he's playing the Obscured game, so both of his creatures are currently obscured and can only be effectively, Obscure makes it so that you can only target the obscured object from 1 zone away. The priestess says that's fine and drops out Althea, Noble Enforcer, very early. Very early. It's probably good to get that out early, actually. But being in the position that she's in, should be able to use the cleric to ready Althea. And that, with the way the timing is going to work for the turn, Grizzly's not even going to get a chance to attack the Enforcer. Actually, because there's Althea. She's not going to get to attack Althea because to use, he has to go with his archer now, which he's just going to guard with. The Disciple Radiance will go ahead and activate Althea, and Althea can just run too, just like that. So it's going to be a rough opening turn next turn because the Priestess has initiative. So that's a light attack on Althea. That means the Malachite's Basilica is going to add extra dice, plus the extra dice from non-living creatures. And you're looking at what you can see right now is 8 dice on the board against a Skeleton Archer that has 9 health and will have to pay 1 if he wants to keep the blur. Though at this point I don't see why you would. It's a very interesting and threatening opening. It's going to be pretty scary to see how this turns out for the Skeleton Archer. Alright, so nothing really changed in the upkeep on this one. The Archer still has the... Oh, interesting. Okay, so the Archer still has the light +1. Right before the first quick cast, the Priestess revealed a regrowth on Althea, and during the first quick cast, the Necromancer just enchanted Althea with what looks like Enfeeble. Ooh, that's pretty nasty. So now, in order to move and attack, the Priestess would have to both have the Disciple Radiance pray to activate Althea, and either have a Lesser Teleport or a Dispel ready to get rid of the Enfeeble. That's a pretty good move there, actually. I like that a lot. Now, granted, Althea can still attack this Mana Crystal and do some serious work to it, because she has Piercing 3 and 5 dice as a base. So, it's still pretty good. And it looks like Grizzly is trying to decide what he's going to do, and he's going to... Ooh, another enchantment goes down on Althea. I wouldn't be surprised to see a Poison Blood from that. Oh, it's an Agony. Okay, that's an even... I wouldn't say better play, but yeah, an additionally a good play. There we go. My words are really bad today. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, that's a pretty nasty little combo there on the dragon. All right. Ooh, Hand of Imshala. So that should mitigate a little bit of the agony because you can just ready it or use it to give melee +1 to Althea. So that makes agony effectively a -1 die. But ooh, the archer is just going to jump right in and shoot the priestess who has only 1 armor. And it appears that means that, if I had to guess right now, Grizzly's going to go with the whole ignore Althea in terms of dice strategy. So throws a few dice at Althea as you have to, and then throw the rest of the priestess. Ooh, 5 damage goes down. 6 was rolled, and 5 will get through. Putting the priestess up to 7 already, and if you think about it, that's effectively 8 next turn because of the Idol of Pestilence. Let's see, we got a quick cast going down, and there is the Lesser Teleport that I spoke about a minute ago. So that teleport is going to absolutely allow Althea to do some work here. So let's see how many dice we have. Even with an Agony, we're talking about, let's see, 4 dice plus 2 plus 3, so we're looking at 7. Ooh, NT brings up a good point. So it's only 6. Still, 6 dice with the whole stipulation of whenever an enemy creature receives a daze or a stun condition, which is highly likely from this attack, from this light attack, they'll receive 2 more direct light damage. So it's still really likely, pretty good chance that this Skeleton Archer just flat out dies. But we'll see. So it should be like I said, I count. Oh, I don't know if he included the Hand of Imshala or not. I don't see the melee on there. Sorry, I just trying to figure it out. So I'm counting 5 dice because I don't see the melee from the hand down right now. So that's pretty accurate at the moment. Still 5 dice, depending on the roll. If he rolls as well as the skeleton did a minute ago, which did not happen, but the stun will go down. So we're looking at 5 total damage and a stun on the archer here. It looks like Grizzly's going to keep the blur on there. Interesting. Alright, because why not? So, I'll have to remind him, I don't know if stun is automated on this thing. Yeah, sometimes the promos aren't automated correctly, so bear with us. Yeah, that's a pretty rough turn. At that point, I probably wouldn't pay for the blur myself. I'm not sure you really gain much from having a stunned skeletal archer keep a blur, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he'll find a way to use him still. Either way, that was a pretty heavy hitting turn on both sides. Alright, so interestingly enough, excuse me, we haven't seen a whole lot of change on the board state, which makes sense. If I was Juli, I would probably put the light +1 over on the Necromancer. Oh, no, you can't. Never mind. I'm scared. Don't mind me. I'm just talking. It appears I don't know what I'm talking about, but it's okay. So, never mind on that one. Nothing happens in the first quick from Grizzly. And we'll see if Juli wants to quick cast. Nope, no quicks at all. So the Necromancer is going to do a thing. We see a quick cast marker get flipped. Oh, going to teleport. Cast 6, teleported himself over there. Moved here and is attacking the Disciple. Ooh, that's an interesting play. That way there, he could possibly get rid of the Disciple and prevent Althea from doing anything. Though I'm seeing the attack get cancelled, so it's a resounding maybe at this point. Oh, he's undoing everything, in fact. I'll leave that to Juli. I'm not a judge. I'm just a recorder for this one. So, it appears Juli will be kind enough to let him do such a thing. Alright, so instead, he's going to teleport. He should be at, let's see, yes. So, he should, he spent 6 mana to move the skeleton up here with his teleport. He's following that up with a Mage Bane on the Priestess, and it is still, yep, he's got a still 6 mana tele. Alright, so that gets interesting. Even with the possibility of Althea attacking this turn, because if Juli prepared to teleport, then it's possible lights out. So, even with that, the Priestess will still rack up some more damage. For every spell cast and from the Idol of Pestilence. However, the Hand of Imshala can offset that a little bit as well. And a quick regrowth or a regrowth belt or something to get a little bit of regen would also offset a lot of the damage over time being taken. Oh, interesting. Remove Curse on Althea is going to get rid of both of those. Very cool. So you have a 5 and a 6, makes it 11. The Holy Spell will give the Priestess 1 more life. The Priestess will also take 1 more damage in the process. And then when that happens, the Priestess will gain 2 mana. That's a great play. So the skeleton will act and get rid of the stun. And Grizzly goes ahead and gets rid of the curses. So the double curses are now gone. That remove curse is great in the Priestess book, it seems. Not that I didn't know that, but you know, it is definitely showing how useful it is right now. And it appears with Althea. She'll move over and attack a mana crystal, one-shotting the crystal down, making the mana a little bit more even on this game. So while Grizzly is actually while Grizzly is actively putting damage down passively. Sorry, that's a really bad sentence. While Grizzly is putting damage down pretty heavily onto Juli. And yes, it's dead. Anyway, so while that's happening, Juli's actually controlling a lot of the board because Althea is just a tough creature to deal with. So I wouldn't say it's one necessarily favoring one or the other too hard just yet. But I could easily see how quickly Juli could gain control of this game. And depending whether that's a regrowth or a heal of some kind, it's very possible that he offsets the passive damage being done to him and has Althea, who is just a wrecking ball. He might want to consider getting a cleric out, a cleric of any kind, just to help for when that Disciple of Radiance actually starts to look like she's about to die. She's about half dead now, and we know Grizzly is contemplating taking attacks at her. So it would probably be good for Juli to put out another cleric. So we'll do a quick recap of the board state while we're at it. So Grizzly has his Mage, which has a Cloak of Shadows on it, as well as a Skeletal Archer, who has Blur on it. Juli has Althea, Noble Enforcer, with Regrowth. Juli has his Mage with Mage Bane and a just revealed Regrowth from this turn, so the damage taken from last turn has actually been healed now. Juli also has Hand of Vimshala, Disciple of Radiance, and a Malachi's Basilica, and the conjurations that the Necromancer has out is a Mana Crystal and Idol of Pestilence. So, in this setup, what I would personally probably do is attempt to kill that Disciple as fast as possible at this point, because that Althea is going to become a real problem. If she's not classified as a problem already, so I would probably classify her as such. So the Priestess enchants herself and takes damage in the process, and Grizzly will pass the quick cast. So he can afford to do this because, at least in terms of the Althea threat, she is not exactly quick to, he'll have a chance to activate before she will because of the way she's structured. She requires people to worship her, so otherwise she doesn't do anything. I guess maybe it's like asking for help. I don't know, hey, help me over here, please, kind of thing, but I'm not really sure. It's still kind of funny. She's like, nope, not helping. Not helping until you ask nicely. But anyway, yeah, so now we're just waiting. It's the actions phase now, and I think Juli's probably contemplating his next move, and it appears he's going to activate the Priestess. Going to go ahead and move in. Move over to the other side of Althea. Ooh, and going after the Cloak of Shadows. Nice. Going for the Dissolve. Takes a damage in the process, but the regrowth will offset that here. So Grizzly's going to go ahead and react. He's going to go ahead and move away again. Enchant Althea, which wouldn't surprise me if that was another Enfeeble. Or another Agony, actually. They're both good plays in this case. It appears it was main wings. I was wrong in both cases. And a Tanglevine goes down. So we have a main wings and a Tanglevine onto the Lazy Dragon. Joking with Lazy Dragon. Onto Althea. Interesting play. So I wonder if that means he's going to shoot the Priestess with the skeleton. Priestess is sitting on 10 damage, and while there is enough passive healing here to keep her alive, there's also quite a bit of active damage going on. Oh, he's just going to run. Oh. Alright, well, why not? Not what I would have expected. As evidenced by my incorrect guess there. So, Althea is probably going to go ahead and... I don't see why she doesn't just attack the Tanglevine. Which is exactly what she does. So, I mean, we're talking 5 dice here. And if he was thinking he could use the Hand of Bimshala to get 6 dice out of it, but she rolls 7 damage anyway, and it doesn't matter. So, man, that was a pretty good hit. All right then. Okay, so I see he's using the Bimshala to keep the Disciple of Radiance alive. That makes sense. That makes sense because that's the only way Althea gets to do anything anyway. But it's also interesting now that Grizzly is actually threatening the Disciple of Radiance. I wouldn't be surprised to see a Cleric and Arouse the Beast actually come out next turn from Juli. Because Clerics cost 5 average, some of them I think are 6, and then Arouse the Beast will cost 1 more. So it's relatively cheap, and since you're not actively taking too much more damage, like the Mage Bane and the Regrowth will offset each other, I guess is where I'm going with that. So, alright, that'll be it for the turn. Alright, for those of you who didn't see it, because I'm cutting out the planning phases, the Basilica's Light +1 token was put onto the Necromancer. And so it appears, if I had to take a guess, that Juli's going to try to get a hit on the Necromancer with the Dragon. But Grizzly gets back first, and I wouldn't be surprised to see the Disciple die and Juli to drop another one and rouse it. That would be my expectation of something to do, but that's not always going to work out like that. So statistically, this should kill, but when he rolls 4 blanks, nothing kills. Holy crap. Wow, that archer just whiffed. Whiffed hard. There's not a lot you can do about that. That's unfortunate, Grizz. There's not much you can do about that one, man. The dice are a little rough. And that puts it over to Juli at this point, which now he's kind of playing with Monopoly money with Disciple of Radiance being still alive. And now he doesn't actually ever have to rouse the beast if he doesn't want to. Alright, so we get the whole pray for Althea going on here. Skeletal Knight, ooh! Now, remember when I spoke earlier in the game, or excuse me, like right before the game started, about how there's a lot of +2 versus non-living creatures things in the Holy Repertoire. So the Necromancer actually is at a little bit of a disadvantage for summoning creatures because of that +2 to the non-living that's going to constantly appear. And it appears the Necromancer will also enchant the Priestess here. I wouldn't be surprised to see a Poison Blood go down on that one. And Grizzly's all out of action, so now it's up to Juli and the Priestess. Or I guess Juli is the Priestess, but yep, there's the Disciple. And now he doesn't have to arouse anything, so he can save his other card if it was one. But based on the quick cast about to happen, hey, look at that, I called that one. You didn't necessarily have to do that, because the Idol of Pestilence is still going to start doing damage either way. However, I guess now that I'm seeing what he's doing, it makes sense to try to get the Tanglevine out of there. And he only needs to roll 1 damage. And he rolls 4 and smack down that Tanglevine. That was a good play, and this is where it can get out of hand really quickly. Grizz better have a plan to do some damage quickly, or keep the damage on there quickly, because this Althea is a wrecking ball. And for a reminder, she has main wings and regrowth on. And she's just going to run right at the Necromancer. And since, while the Priestess has initiative next turn, she still has to pray to keep, to get Althea to activate. So there won't be anything happening quickly. Alright, and as we expected, a Poison Blood was revealed on the Priestess, so the typical regrowth offsetting the Mage Bane didn't quite happen, so Juli was actually up to 12 damage at 33 life here. And then all the other living creatures took 1 damage, except for Althea, who regened because of regrowth. So now we have the first quick cast, which Juli skips, and then Grizzly casts the Tanglevine. Puts another Tanglevine on the dragon. The dragon's going nowhere. So I wonder if he decides at this point to just start wailing on the dragon, or if he's going to try to get the heck out of Dodge and start working on other things. It's an interesting choice there. I don't know that I don't know what I would do. I don't have enough experience, or at least not enough practice fighting Althea or not fighting. I guess I would probably do the rest and then start beating her down as quickly as I could, but that's just a hunch that I would do. I don't know for sure. So Grizzly moves the Skeletal Knight down and guards. Juli goes ahead, activates the Hand of Imshallah, and gives melee to Althea. And I'm counting 7 dice is what it should be. Yes. Yeah, it appears that Althea in general probably doesn't have light on her attack either. So we're looking at 7 damage, all normal damage, but all of it gets through, along with a stun. So that's another 2 damage after that. We're looking at 9 damage and a stun going down on SilverclawGrizzly. That's a bit rough. Dang, that's a heck of a hit there. So it appears that he's going to go ahead and try to shoot the disciple, which makes sense. Try to knock out as many of the disciples, or knock out the disciples to stop Althea from doing anything. And while that's technically not a kill shot, it is effectively a kill shot, because the Idol of Pestilence will knock out the Disciple of Radiance next turn. Barring some crazy heal, actually. I guess there's technically that possibility too. Like, he's just going to run to the other corner with the Disciple. That makes sense. Get her out of there. So Grizzly's going to go ahead and remove the stun and probably cast something. Although you can technically cast non-attack spell quick spells, I think is what the stipulations are. Depends on what he prepared for himself. And it appears he didn't prepare one of those, so he's not going to act at all. That stun is pretty key right now, especially because it keeps Grizzly in the same zone as Althea. While he'll have time to get out of there, it's still not the place you want to be. And it's all up to Juli, who will quick cast. I'm going to expect not what I expected. Okay, so Temple of Light's really good because it's a light attack that when attacking him gets an extra die, and if it causes the daze or the stun, will cause 2 more damage. Man, that's a rough play. That is awesome. So the Temple can roll up to 3 dice, or 3 dice just from making it X, and then a 4th from the light +1. Depending on how much he wants to pay. So he's going to pay 2, he should roll 3, and potential for quite a bit more damage to go down. Woo, he gets it. So we're looking at 2 critical on top of the daze, which puts 2 more damage onto him. So he's now up to 13 total damage just from light attacks. That's a pretty nasty little build there. And so we'll see what happens when he actually acts here, but he doesn't really even have to do a heck of a lot to really... I almost say he's got control of this game right now. Juli does. Because with the amount of light attacks around and the amount of dazes and stuns that can go down like that are just ridiculous. I mean, all he has to do now is sit back and just keep casting Pillar of Light and roll extra dice and get the days. So now we're just waiting for Grizzly to add just 2 damage to his mage so that Juli can act. Just in case he's not catching on, it's okay. There we go. So, hopefully that'll help. Alright, let's see what the action that Juli has saved here is. He's only got 3 mana, so he can't do a heck of a lot. But he's going to go ahead and enchant a Necromancer while taking damage in the process. Interesting. So he thinks he can win this damage race, and I don't necessarily disagree with him, in fact. He's got a lot of dice on the board and a lot of ways to do it pretty efficiently. So we'll see where this goes from here. Alright, so this turn, well, planning phases are just ending, but not a lot of change in the upkeep, so what I expect Grizzly to do, if I was him, is to get the heck out of dodge, which is wherever Althea is, though I would also not be surprised to see the Priestess move in and teleport Althea to wherever the Necromancer goes. It wouldn't surprise me either to see Grizzly run to and teleport this particular Disciple of Radiance over into range over here. Or at least run to and maybe save the teleport and do it as a quick cast kind of thing. It's lots of options, lots of ways to kill the Disciple of Radiance to keep Althea from activating and becoming a real nuisance here. Because she already has been actually, but to keep her from becoming even more of a nuisance, so that he can concentrate on putting damage on the Priestess, who is still. I mean, we're looking at like half damage for the Priestess almost. And Silverclaw is not too far behind. So it's a relatively even fight from a life versus damage standpoint. I think board control goes a little bit more to Juli, though losing a cleric would be absolutely devastating, I think. I'm not saying he can't turn it around from there, I'm just saying that's a huge part of the strategy, is to keep Althea just chipping away at everything. Grizzly's actually doing a pretty good job of surviving most of those hits, though that last round was a bit rough for him. Alright, we're into the first quick cast. Let's see what happens here. Let's see if anything happens here. One thing to note, if I was Grizzly, I would probably... Well, he didn't have too many creatures. I would probably have put an Eternal Servant either on the Knight or on the Archer, depending on which one you want to keep coming back, but it seems that the Piercing +1 would help in either case. So Grizzly's going to quick cast and enchant down Althea. And wagering a guess as to what that is maybe another Poison Blood. It's tough to guess that one because there's a lot of options here. And so Grizz is going to go ahead and do the double move, get the heck out of dodge. Totally makes sense. It's probably something I would do too. He moves so fast he forgot to bring the enchantment attached to him. It could also be that my internet is disconnected, so sometimes it happens, but it's running a little slow. And the enchantment catches up to him. So Grizzly's going to be sitting on a lot of mana next turn as well, so we'll see what he can do. Priestess is going to activate and move to the left. It wouldn't surprise me to see it Purify come down to get rid of Poison Blood. Oh dear. Oh dear, he's doing the Wall of Thorns push. Oh man, he's going to get 2 of them in a row too, and there's not much he can do. He being Grizzly, there's not much Grizzly can do. That's going to be rough. So there's the Force push, and Grizzly's going to go back through the Wall of Thorns. I was going to say just roll 10 dice, but he might just do the whole drag thing. But there's no armor, so since there is no armor, you can do... So he's going to do 10 at once because it's effectively the same thing as opposed to 5 2-dice attacks. That tells me that the enchantment on Grizzly is probably Rust, actually. I expect that to be a Rust. Oh, man. 14 damage gets through. That puts Grizzly in ridiculously dangerous territory. Puts him at 27 out of 32. I don't see an easy way to call or to come back from that one. Easy is probably the wrong word. There's realistically very little he can do now. A drain soul and off field would be good. A drain life. He'll have the mana next turn to do not both, but one then the other. He can do a siphon life after doing a drain soul. I mean, there's still some options, but it is a scary place to be. And because Juli forgot to use his Temple of Light here. Oh no, he's out of mana. Never mind. He didn't forget anything. I forgot something. So he's gonna just start chipping away at it. 2 damage goes down on the Temple of Light. And I expect the archer to do a shot at the Temple of Light as well. I wonder if this is a nullify. This could be a nullify to prevent a teleport. May have outthought himself there. Man, that thorn push is rough. Oh, he's going to go hide it. That's nice. The Disciple of Radiance runs right up. It tucks into the corner behind the Wall of Thorns, although, well, it may not matter, but... Oh, he's just going to... Yeah, that makes sense, too, to shoot the Wall of Thorns. Maybe he rolls 6. If he gets lucky and kills it, he's good. Otherwise, it's going to regen 2 of the damage he does. Oh, it's going to regen all of the damage he just did. The dice have not been friendly to Grizzly the last 3-4 rounds. Not at all. They haven't been, outside of that 110 dice roll, they haven't been ridiculously one-sided either, but Grizzly's rolled pretty consistently below with that archer. If the archer whiffed a shot earlier, he's always doing 2 on that one. It's unfortunate, but I don't think the dice are the only thing killing him right now. Ooh, 6 mana to reveal a Deathlink. That's a good play there too. So he still has a chance to survive this. I don't want it to sound like I'm counting him out. He's just gonna have a long climb back. I'm trying to think about what I would do. I would possibly, if I was him, prepare Drain Soul, Drain Life, one of the two, hit Althea in the quick cast. Actually, you won't get a quick cast. Because the push is going to happen. Now, discount all that. Ignore me. We'll figure out what he does here in a minute. Alright, so this is going to be really rough because I hadn't been counting earlier that Grizzly doesn't get a quick cast before anything else happens to him. So, I'm fully expecting to see a push back through the Wall of Thorns. And that could technically, that could be game. Based on dice. But he rolled so high over the first time, Grizzly may get lucky that Juli rolls low on the next one, giving him a chance to do something. I'm not sure what I would do in his case, aside from lots of draining things. It's not an easy choice, and it's not something I would wish upon anybody at this point, because that's a rough thing to be staring at. But we'll see where it goes, I guess. If he survives the push, he's got a chance. The damage is pretty high on the Priestess, so it's not like it's a one-sided affair at this point. Just gotta hope for a low roll. And we'll see how that goes. It's not a low roll. That is a really high roll. That's game. Ouch. That's rough. Those walls of thorns, man. This is why you run armor. Good game and well played to everybody. Congratulations, Juli, for winning your game. Puts him at 2-0, I believe. Grizzly's still at 2-1. I believe this makes him second place in the division right now. Both of these guys have a really high chance of moving along still. So it may be a setback for Grizzly, but he's far from out of it. Well, thanks for tuning in, guys. It's been Sharkbait with Arcane Duels, and when in doubt, kill it with fire.